Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Alchemisted, and this is the demo recorder. I'm going to go ahead and make that transparent, so we won't have to constantly see that. And I just took, I actually had to take another demo file, because the one I took, for some reason, probably due to how absolutely fucking crowded Earth Space Dock is. I fucking hate. It does hurt, but I fucking hate Earth Space Dock. There's so many players there, and they constantly force you to go back there for stuff. It is wretched whenever they do. I avoid the place as much as possible. For those of you who've played EVE Online, Earth Space Dock is essentially JITA. That's how bad it can get sometimes. It just is especially nice when the game decides it's using too much memory and chooses to crap on all your graphic settings. Fantastic. So I've used the demo record, and it's right now you hit F2 when it loads, and you've essentially got a free camera, so you can move about, you can do whatever you want. And there's somebody in the veteran Mako gear. There's a nice hologram of Wasabi. There's a Starfleet officer who needs to lose a little bit of weight. This is one of the few tactical kits that actually looks somewhat decent. I really don't like tactical kits. Like all the science kits look awesome. So before we look at the Odyssey, there are all these nice banners here, all these nice patches. Odyssey class development project. Very nice. And I believe these were designed by Thomas the Cat. So let's go ahead and go through these windows and take a closer look at this baby. So yes, we're flying free now. Born free, free as the wind blows. So is there a registry on this one? No. So probably the first thing you're going to notice is, Jesus Christ, this place is big. Yes, that's the first thing you'll notice. And if we look here, there's a big hole. Yeah, there's a big hole. They really should put it they need to put something here. Oh, we're off. We're off. But yeah, look at how big that fucking thing is, first of all. Can't wait. Look at how huge that thing is. You're probably noticing at the buzzard collectors, and I'll go in for a closer look, is these things right here. These things inside, and they won't be present in the scale model. Well, this is the scale model, but you know what I mean, the gameplay model. But these right here, let me go inside. These things are buzzard collectors, and what these do, and if you go down here, you'll notice them in the large model of the Galaxy class as well. This is what's inside those red things. Let's go in here. Are these things. And what these are buzzard collectors. What they do is they essentially collect free hydrogen from space, and they use that hydrogen to power the ship. So the ship, like Starfleet ships, literally pull their fuel from space, like not their warp drive fuel, but the fuel for the fusion reactors that power things like life support, the lights, the artificial gravity, stuff like that. Everything but the warp drive is powered by the by the fusion reactors. I believe they may. I'm unsure if they also power the replicators. The weapons, though, are channeled. At least the phasers are channeled through the warp engines. That is something that began in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and I'm unsure if they discontinued that. So yeah, you get a look at the size of this ship. Get a nice angle on it. It's a very nice looking ship. A lot of people don't like it. I think those people are crazy. Now, the first thing you're probably going to notice, especially those of you who've played Mass Effect, is that the ship the coloring looks a hell of a lot like the Normandy. Especially here at the, I think the nacelles themselves look quite a bit Mass Effect. It looks almost Geth in design, almost. I'm not saying that they are. I am saying that they kind of remind me of that, which I like. Anything that reminds me of Mass Effect is okay with me. So here's the shuttle bay, and you'll actually notice that there's kind of like a large cutout area here. Eventually there will be a C-Store variant of this ship with the ability to launch an auxiliary ship. There will literally be a small ship, about roughly the size of a Defiant, docked in this area here. There won't be a shuttle bay on the C-Store version, and that will be an auxiliary craft, which I'm assuming you can dispatch, that will fly around and take point for you, do point defense, and defend you from stuff, and that'll be cool. Now, you'll probably notice, let me find it, that there is, if I can find it, there's a point where it separates here. I'm looking for, I'm looking to see if I can find the seam. I can't quite find it, but there is a saucer separation ability that this ship has, and the saucer will come off, and the star drive, it isn't like the Galaxy where like the star drive is literally half the ship. The star drive is literally like, if you can follow my mouse, it's like this all the way around, like all this area comes off with the bottom half of the ship. And the top half just sort of comes off with that area missing. And I'm unsure how that will impact the maneuverability. I imagine it won't impact it that much. It can't, because that's got to be like 60% of the ship. 60 to 70% of the ship's mass is being retained. So I can't see how much that will affect maneuverability. I imagine that it will affect maneuverability a lot differently than it does on the Galaxy, where, let me fly over there. If you look at where the Galaxy separates, it separates right along this seam right here. You've seen the Woglinde separate, in fact. I'm fairly certain you have. It separates along this seam right here, if you follow my mouse. And it's literally like right here, it literally separates almost cleanly in half. There's still a lot of mass left with the star drive, but nowhere near as much as will be left with the Odyssey. And this, like, even from this angle, is a very good-looking ship. It might actually be clipping through the wall of Earth space dock, though. Let's see. Are you clipping? No, you're not clipping through it. Just barely, though. It just barely fits. So this thing, like I said, isn't going to be here permanently. It's going to, I'm assuming it's just going to be here for while the two-year anniversary celebration is going on. Take a look at the detail, though. Now, there are things like this I really appreciate. This is the primary shuttle bay here, and you have things like this, which are essentially guiding lanes for like ingoing and outgoing shuttle traffic, which I really like. I love those touches. Those touches are present on all like the cannon ships and stuff. Like if you look close at them, you can see all that, but they're always missing from these. Like you don't see, like right here is supposed to be sort of the same sort of deal, as well as the registry of the ship. But you know, you never see that kind of detail on the ships in this game. So I really like the fact that they included that, and I'm unsure if that's going to be on the actual playable version of it. I would really hope so. Like I'd really love to have that that level of detail, and it looks like it's actually raised. So let's go down a little. Yeah, you can see. So you can see it's kind of like it's actually a model, like polygonal. It doesn't look, it's not a decal or anything. Well, it is sort of a decal. But it seems to have, like you look at it from like various angles, it seems to have depth of its own. So I don't know, maybe it's part of the playable ship's geometry. And here you have the bridge dome. And this is my first time getting a look at the bridge module, and I actually like the way the bridge module looks. And I have actually been on the Odyssey bridge. I tested this ship on the on Tribble, and I've actually been on the Odyssey bridge. So I've actually stood underneath the dome on the Odyssey bridge. Actually looks a lot like this. And I've backed off a bit so you can see it through the bloom, but it actually looks just like this. So I've stared at that from beneath that dome. So like there are only like two doors, like one to a turbo lift and one to the ready room, which kind of soured me. But I imagine this would be like the conference lounge or what have you, or the conference lounge would be up front, like here, a ready room or conference lounge. It actually looks almost like it detaches itself, doesn't it? It looks a bit like its own ship. It almost does, although facing backwards. That'd be cool if it was, because I know there are Starfleet ships. I could see the I could see the sun through the wall. But I know there are Starfleet ships whose that's weird. Now that you know that's there, it's gonna be messing with me. But I know there are Starfleet ships whose bridge models can detach. Voyager, for example, that whole bridge module on Voyager, that's designed as kind of its own escape ship, actually. They never used it, but it has its own thrusters and everything. They never used it because they never really did anything creatively. Well, that's not true. Voyager had a lot of creativity, but most of it was just kind of, yeah. Like, let me put it this way: they deliberately instructed the actors to act as bland as they could. That's the creativity on Voyager, and I really love it. I really love these nacelles. I love the way the bloom looks on them. Now on Stoked, the hosts of Stoked were really pleased with the way the impulse engines looked. I'm sort of not 50, maybe 80% there. I don't like that the impulse engine is like jagged, like janky, like facing this way. I don't think it should be doing that. I think this should just be the impulse engine. But they really loved how the impulse engines were kind of sunken into the ship, like it made it look sleeker and made it look almost like a submarine. If you go over here and you take a look at the pylons, you will notice, along with the torpedo launchers here, you'll notice that there are also impulse engines in here, which is, I assume, well, I assumed before that would be where the impulse engines for the star drive section would be, the star drive section of the Odyssey, but apparently these impulse engines also separate with the star drive section, so I'm unsure what the impulse engines are there for. I'm also unsure why they wanted it to be slower, considering it has so many impulse engines. Like, okay, it's a big ship, you want it to be slower, but you added all of these impulse engines to it. It literally is running like 4 impulse engines at all times. How can it be that slow to turn when you have that much thrust turning you? You know, it kind of doesn't make that much sense. Of course, bigger ships always require more thrust. So this is the 2409 standard, by the way. This is becoming, this color scheme has become the standard for like the 25th Century Federation. Is this sort of a black, white, and red, you know, with red trim color scheme is kind of the standard now. And I admit, I like the color scheme. I like the white hull. I think the white hull actually looks more canon than the other hulls that are in the game. You know, I like that. I like like this era now has its own unique look. Like every era of Trek has its own unique look. Like the motion picture has a look that distinguishes it from the original series. TNG had a look that distinguished it from the motion picture, you know, and then everything else took place in the TNG era, and we just kind of had like the same looking ships for years and years. So one of the things I do appreciate about Star Trek Online is how everything is getting, like, all of the +1 ships essentially represent Starfleet in the 25th century. And they all share, like, this visual aesthetic that sort of unites them. And I like that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Deflector. Now, I imagine the Deflector isn't going to look this cool in the normal playable version, but a lot of people didn't like the Christ, I don't even know what to call it. This thing here, I don't know its proper name, but they thought it made the Deflector look a bit buck-toothed, and I can see where they were coming from there. It still looks great. It especially looks great in this light with this this thing, whatever the hell it is, whatever it is that's glowing that damn much. I'm sure it's something important. Then again, with Starfleet, you never know. Maybe they just had a bunch of light bulbs left over, said, let's put a big shiny thing on our ship. Considering some of Starfleet's engineering practices, would not surprise me at all. So, Yeah, that's the deflector. Looks nice and bright and blue, and I doubt it'll look like that on the playable model, but if it does, I'll be ecstatic, because that looks pretty. Looks mighty pretty. I'll go down here. And I was thinking there might be a chevron here. You see, I actually like this as well. This is a, essentially, this is where the warp core ejects from. Is that where the warp core ejects from, or is there another one? And it's a little detail. No, that's it. It's a very little detail, but I love little details like that. When they put that there, like they can point to that and say, yeah, that's where the warp core ejects from when they need to like do an emergency ejection, and you can actually see through the mesh right now. You can see through that, and that's again because this bit right here. Let me move up. This bit right here with the shuttle bay, you can see where you can see the curve. That's not actually supposed to be there. That has been redesigned for something else, for an auxiliary craft. So, yeah, yeah. So you can see through the mesh because this is kind of like slapped together now. It's also too low. Like maybe it should be a little bit higher and a little bit more in, if you know what I mean, and that might help. The gap won't be so utterly massive, or maybe that gap won't be present on the in-game model. I'll have to check and see. I'll have to take a demo record from a relatively empty area of space, because I don't want to take a demo record from Starfleet, from Space Dock again, because that was awful. It froze the fucking game. There's just so much going on, so many people. But yeah, there's a look at the Odyssey class. It's got all the like Starfleet chevrons and all the red racing stripes that we've come to expect from Starfleet ships. I think the developers at Cryptic chose well. They may have rankled me and quite a few other people with the last-minute nerfing of the ship, but I'll find a way. Like I want to fly this. I'll probably like. I don't know when I'm gonna fly it, because I'm still very partial to the Waglinde, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna be like flying this around. So yeah, that's the Enterprise F. That's the Odyssey class, and later on today I will be recording the mission where you get it, and I will be doing a shakedown of this beauty after I do a shakedown of this beauty in the mission. So, Engineer Connie. Is that you? No, you're Daniel. You're Connie. Okay. I need to speak with you. The Odyssey class. Admiral, this is a great day for Starfleet. The team at Utopia Planitia is in the final stages of work on the new Odyssey class, and she's ready for testing. This is a monumental achievement, Admiral. The Odyssey class is the largest ship we've ever created, and she will carry us into a bright new future of exploration, boldly going where no ship has gone before. Admiral Quinn asked me to nominate an officer to take an Odyssey prototype out of dry dock and on her first shakedown cruise. I can think of no finer officer for that duty than you. Treat her well, Admiral, and she'll always bring you home. Reference to Encounter at Farpoint. The first episode of TNG, those were the words the elderly Leonard McCoy, now a Starfleet Admiral, said to Data. So let's go ahead and accept. Accept. Accept the mission. There we go. In progress. Go to Mars. Ah, we're getting our ass to Mars. Yes. Let's get the fuck off Earth Space Dock.